Hi, Jay Verna, fitness specialist with the town of Webster, along with Dr. Mike Stewart and Josh Best, one of the trainers here at the Webster Rec Center. Introducing our first ever episode of the TrainSmart585 Podcast.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we're going to go over, take 3 questions each episode, and we're going to discuss them and hopefully give you some good answers.
Yeah, so we already had people submit some questions for this week that we've been working with, or questions that we typically get in the rec center and the PT clinic. So the first question was about youth strength development, and is it appropriate, under a certain age to start youth strength development, and what's appropriate and what's most beneficial that you guys find when training the youth?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot, I think, out there, position papers, research. The way I look at it is it's never too young to start training. I think the methods that we use are really important. And also the loads. So in other words, getting a really young kid under really heavy loads before they've really learned how to move properly and really grow into their body is probably not an appropriate thing. But if you think about how kids play in the sports that they engage in at a really early age, there's a lot of forces being placed on their body, a lot of different movements that they're doing. So I think if we can help them learn how to control those movements, do them better, it's only going to help as they grow older, maybe make them more athletic, but certainly also help with injury prevention. So for me, I think it's more looking at focusing on good movements, body weight movements, and even some lighter movements like goblet squats and things like that. I don't know what your thoughts on that, Jack?
I think movement is key. You know what I mean? So it's never too soon really to start improving the quality of movement and strengthening the foundation so that as they advance in their sport or just life in general, that they're prepared for really anything. So
Right.
We're not going to be sitting there doing like a ton of heavy lifting probably with our youth athletes, but just they need to move better, and it's good. It's just like anything. You can start early and start moving well, then you're going to be better off later on. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you think about it, most of the kids are not going to be pro athletes making their living at it. So if we can, get them moving well at a young age and hopefully enjoying it, there's a chance that they might stick with that through the rest of their lives as well.
And that transitions right into preventing injury. If they move better and they're stronger, they're going to prevent injuries along the way. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our next question, so I'll direct this towards Josh. We had someone come in asking, what are I want the best core exercises to do. What are the best core exercises? So why don't you start off with that?
Josh Best.
The best core exercises. It's a solid question. This can go in numerous directions, but right off the bat, whatever we're doing, involve your core into that movement. It could be something basic as somebody doing a curl. The last thing we want to do is really start swinging around into it. You want to actively brace, use your abdominals and hips, get in a good position. Make sure those are engaged from first rep through the last rep. With that said, if we're going through squats, if somebody's deadlifting, kettlebell swings, lunges, same thing, everything we can do to actively brace our abdominals to keep us upright. Like I said, from first rep through the last rep, especially if we have, added load with it. If it's a kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell, especially as the weight increases, you want to make sure that you're, first in a good position. You can maintain that. You have that strength and endurance to, finish first rep through the last rep. But that definitely be the route that I would go to, is making sure everything that we're already doing, we're activating our core musculature, we're able to engage it and endure that from beginning to end. And then we kind of start dabbling in some, like specific type of movements, not necessarily planks, but whether it's a pail-off press, doing movements, the pullovers, we're avoiding excessive extension in our lumbar spine and avoiding, excessive flexion in our spine as well. But
so the translation to that is arching or rounding excessively.
Yeah. So if somebody's doing a plank and they're really kind of sitting down and their hips are low back, we're not getting anything out of it. We're putting all that stress and strain, on our lumbar spine versus being able to use our core, our abdominals, that keeps us upright.
I think you guys do it just as much as I do it, but the first thing we do with all of our clients is how do we properly breathe? How do we properly brace for exercise before we just start saying, like, all right, let's do crunches, let's do planks or something like that. We don't usually do a lot of that. that stuff.
Right.
It's teaching them how do we engage the core for every exercise so that every exercise is a core exercise, because we need that stability here for everything else to work properly. So there is, I don't know, I don't think there is like the best core exercises.
Yeah.
There's some ones that you feel the abs burning a little bit more, but everything should be a core exercise.
Well, I think also it's understanding what people's goals are, and let's face it, when people come to see us, Josh and I specifically, with fitness goals, they want to look good here. And there's so many other things. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole now because we only have a few minutes, but there's so many other things that go into that. But I think understanding basic anatomy of the spine and what it is we're trying to do in supporting the spine, and where we want to see movement, where we want to see less movement, all that kind of comes into play in terms of injury prevention, but also getting the most out of the exercises that you're doing on a regular basis. So definitely starting with understanding how to brace, and then how that can translate to everything that you do. Yeah.
Right. Last question that we had submitted was about cycling. For those of you that don't know, we are doing a cycling lecture on biomechanics today at Tryon Bikes in Rochester at 6 o'clock, so shameless plug right there. But cycling, what is the benefit to using cleats or wedges or orthotics in cycling shoes? Are they necessary? I guess I'll start with that one in saying that those things sometimes help a lot. Someone comes in with knee pain, and it's because they have poor foot positioning on the pedals, or maybe it's throwing their alignment of their knee off, that those wedges or cleats, orthotics, may help relieve some of the pain initially. But my thought process is, and this is with most bracing or taping, is that it's there to supplement the actual work that we need to do to make our body correct the issue. So maybe putting a wedge, in your cycling shoes will help decrease your knee coming in, or your foot flattening on the pedal when you're transferring the forces. But the real long-term goal would be, let's strengthen the muscles that do that so that you're getting the long-term benefit. So yeah, they help short-term. They might get you through that next race if you develop sudden knee pain. But long-term, you need to fix the issue, with your body.
Yeah, 100% agree. It's going to be a temporary fix. Like I said, the most we can get out of using the correct areas, whether if it's getting in a good position with our feet, if that's translating up to our knees and hips. Do we need to look at how's our overall hip positioning? Do we have a good muscular balance all the way around, so we're not kind of faulting into those bad movement patterns? But definitely strengthening the areas around and addressing those sooner than later than just falling on. Oh, I could use this for a fix right now, but down the road, we're going to need to address that issue.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too is you have to go for bike fittings. Like, get them done regularly. Once you get one done, do it again, sort of thing. You can't do it almost too much. You should be going in quite often, because things move and slide on the bike, and you might need to adjust certain things more often. But bike fitting first. If it's temporary, use some of these wedges or cleats, and then really fix the issue from where it's stemming from.
And I think that's where cross training comes in.
Yeah.
Spending time off the bike, working on some of those issues, and getting stronger, and whatever your goal is for that.
And I know 3 guys at Webster Rec that can help with that. So.
Yeah, I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, I haven't met one of them is the best.
Right. So, thanks for joining us for our first episode of our podcast, TrainSmart585. We'll try and post these, every week, every other week. Submit your questions in the comments below, or email them to us. Stop in, let us know what you guys want us to talk about, and we'll be talking to you soon. Thanks.
Have a good one.
See you next time.